Yo, it's Dan Larsson here for GhostHack, and today I want to show you how to use the huge production bundle to create an awesome Deathstep groove. So let's start. Yo, okay, so there are a lot of things here, and let's choose a cool bass sound. Okay, let's use this. Okay, let's duplicate it. Now the first thing that I hear is I don't really like the low end. Let's have a look on it. So as you can see, it's basically just a rumble. It doesn't have that smooth bass or sub, sorry. So it doesn't have that smooth sub. To me, it's a little distracting. So what I would do is use a filter and just, cut it. Yeah, at around 100 Hertz, I think it will be fine. So let's make a new audio. Well, we have a MIDI track. So I just want to use operator for that. It's basically whatever synth you want to use, because we're going to just use a simple sine wave and, distort it. I'm using the filter emulation, crank up the filter drive. Now there is one more thing, maybe use an amp that can create huge mid-low pressure. Let's use the clean. So as you can hear, it creates some crazy things here. So the next thing is to use a filter to chop off the highs. At around 600 Hertz, that will be fine. So now the hardest work will be to replicate, or try to replicate, the rhythm of the bass loop. Okay, the next thing is to use a sidechain. Now for this loop, I want to use a multi-band sidechain. And because I don't want to force you to use any third-party VSTs, let's build up a rack. And in FL Studio, I bet you have a solution for this using the patcher. But in Ableton, we can use the utilities and the audio effect rack. And basically, I have a pre-built rack for this. And it is the 2-band split. So if I set the cut at around 1000 Hertz, I can use the bottom gain to add the sidechain basically. But before I do that, I need to select some drums. Okay, so in this library we have some really cool drum loops. Sorry, not drum loops. Okay, let's use this. Right, cool. The first thing that distracts me a little is that I'm not a big fan of this snare. So I want to delete this, make a little fade here. That's cool because we still hear the clang of pow, the pen sound, but we don't have the actual snare that we can replace with something else. So if we go to, not to the loops, but the one-shots, and we have drums and snares, we can pick our favorite. I like this third one. It is a lot snappier and punchier than this one. Okay, and all we need to do is just put the snare where we cut the previous one. Okay, so this is what we have now. Okay, so let's automate the bottom band here for the sidechain. So it is very easy now because we can see the length of the kick drum. So just click on the bottom gain and pull back the volume on that. And we will still hear the bass, but not the low part of that, so it won't conflict with the kick basically. Cool, but we still need to do this on the sub. And our workaround is very simple because we already have the curve for that, and just we need a utility tool. So I click on the gain, make a new modulation track for that, and I just copy this and paste it here. The only thing I need to take care of is to check if the top gain is on 0, but right now it is on 24, so I need to pull it back. So take this little square and pull it back until you can see the value that you are after. So okay, there is one more ingredient that I really miss here, is that the scream. So I want to use Serum for that. So let's start with the square. Let's modulate it with another square but on higher octave, and let's use an FM. Yeah, that's it. And let's use a filter, but we need huge resonance. Cool, and maybe some synchronization mode on oscillator B. This will be cool if we add some distortion to it. Maybe a hyper dimension, but without a hyper. To make a little stereo wide, an OTT, and an EQ to chop off the lows. Okay, so let's add a MIDI, and we can tweak this later, so with the FM and stuff like that, to find a sweet spot. Ooh, okay, this is cool, but pull back the volume. Yeah, this is heavy. And in the next section, let's duplicate this. I want to pull back the scream to make it a difference to C0 maybe. Cool, this sounds really, really heavy. So let's call this scream, sub, drums, snare, and main bass. I want to rise the mids a little on this bass loop. This sounds good, but I still want to hear something with the drums, something extra with the drums. I think I miss the crash, because if you ever played in a metal band, like me, you know that banging those crash cymbals like really essential for this heavy hardstyle stuff. So let's go to the cymbals or crashes. I think this will be great. And on the kick drum, I want to apply a fade. But on the snare, I don't want to do that. Or just a tiny bit, and just duplicate this all the way along to the loop. And I want to play with the pitch of this with a frequency shifter. This is a great tool to, you know, tweak the hi-hats, but click on frequency. Okay, I think this sounds good, but we need an EQ to chop off all these unwanted frequencies. So this is a huge mess here, we don't need these at all. Maybe the fade is a little too long on this. Okay, and the Haas effect to make it really, really wide. So what you need to do is crank up the dry wet on a delay device. We need no feedback, and set one of the channels to like 15 milliseconds and the other one to 0, or, you know, on the initial one. Awesome, so I think we just set up the groove itself. Sounds so cool and loud, but it's very monotonic, so we need to replace some things. We need to add fills and stuff like that to make it complete, so it won't be boring. The first thing that I want to do is replace this first hit, because honestly I don't really like it. So luckily we can choose a lot of stuff from, like in this library, there's just crazy amount of stuff. So let's go to the futuristic, electro, whatever sound, bass loops. Oh, this is nice. Okay, let's use this, because there is a nice sound I really like here. This one, I love this one. So nice and crunchy. But it's too short, so what I would do is hold shift and stretch it. And we are using the beats warping mode, so hopefully it will be nice and stuttery. Yeah, I really love it. Okay, the next thing is I want to replace this sound, because you know it just stops. I don't want to stop this bass loop or the whole groove itself. I want to add some more tension to it going forward into the loop. So luckily again we have a nice drum and bass back here, or drum and bass folder called Dark Matter, and we have some nice bass lines. Yeah, this is lovely, let's use it, because it is already in D. So I think we just need to use the first hit. And right now it sounds stupid, so we need some crazy process on it. Let's start with a high pass filter to add some more articulation to it. It doesn't have any now, but if you use a high pass filter, yeah, something like that, but with moving it, oops, let's use the cutoff. Let's make it longer. Okay, and I want to use 2 instances of OTTs. Maybe 1 will be enough. Maybe 2, yeah. And maybe some distortion will give a little more light to it. So let's use the pedal. Alright, so okay, we will need some tension here too. So let's delete this one and let's go to the library again. Like I don't know, let's go to the hardstyle. There are some cool screeches here. So let's use the loops. Screech loops, that's it. Okay, that can be cool. So we don't need the others. Okay, let's drop this 1 octave low and let's see how it sounds. Now the problem is, I think, is the frequency cutoff is too high, so it basically kills all the energy of this sound. Okay, and if you hit Ctrl and Shift, you can browse through the sample. Okay, I think this sounds cool as a little different, as a little fill. But maybe this is a little too early, so let's pull it forward. Alright, and we need something here like an extra kick or something. Maybe if we use this one, we will see. But no, this is, I don't really like this kick. I want to have a little higher kind of, oh, maybe if I pull it up. No, I don't really like it. We need another sample here. So maybe in the Deathstep thing, we have some cool snares we can choose from. So drum hits, snares. Okay, let's try this one. And we just need the lows, so let's cut these. And maybe if I pull back. Yeah, it sounds cool. But we need warping mode, and honestly the texture mode, maybe let's try that one. Let's pull it back. Yeah, that's it. I love this thing. So basically we just took a snare and lengthened it using time stretch algorithm, pulled back the pitch and play around with the grain size. Because we are using granular synthesis here in the sample, we were able to create this very nice tom or whatever sound. Awesome. But I think this space should be, I guess you too, this space should be filled up too. So in the Hardstyle library, we had some nice fills. Yeah, that's cool, we can use it up, but as you can see the BPM is not really good, so let's set this to 155 as it says here in the file name. Okay, I guess we killed this loop, so let's drop it to the drum section. So this is what we're having now. Oops. Okay, I had to fix the drums. Okay, so there is some rhythm change here in the bass loop. Goes to triplet mode that I want to follow with the drums, especially because we have some nice feel before it. Let's go precise mode and choose a triplet mode in the main grid, in the main area. So bang, 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 it would be a lot easier to choose the drums for that. Okay, and maybe crank this up. This fill is cool, but I want to change the transposition of that, because right now it's just very repeating, so and I don't really like it. I want to like a real drum fill, you know. So it is very simple to do. Let's use. Maybe we can tweak this screech a little too. So let's use a texture mode. Yeah, I love it. Okay, this is something that we need to change again. So let's duplicate the kicks, but kill this one. And maybe let's use a different kind of variation for that. Maybe if I stretch only the kick and reverse it. Let's put it before the snare, because it doesn't sound well if I put a reverse kick before a kick. And let's use a texture mode maybe. Ah, that's it. Maybe make it a little longer. Ah, that's it, so cool. Awesome. So again, we need some work here. Let's find another bass loop in the Deathstep one. So let's go with bass loops. Oh, I really like this thing. So maybe let's put it here. And it is so cool because as we get to this snare, where we make a huge suck in or transition effect with the kick, this gloss break, whatever thing could sound so well to it. So let's drop it here. But obviously we don't need the sub and the scream. Cool. And what I wanted to do is just use a low pass filter as it fades in like down. As you know, just make as much interesting and unexpected thing to it as you can. So let's use an auto filter, whatever you want basically, because we're just using only for this sound. So with high resonance. Yeah, that's it. This is what I'm after. So cool. Okay, but we need these to continue. And maybe let's use only these on the double kick. Ta-da-dun, ta-da-dun. Okay, we messed up the modulation, so we need to fix that. Yeah, that's it. Let's add sub here. Okay, I think the first half is done, but I don't really like this snare here, so we can use this up later if we want, doesn't matter. We can delete this one again, and let's use the same bass line, but this time let's go up, so transpose it up by 1 octave, or maybe 2 octaves. And with the texture mode, woo, such a cool scream. Okay, I think this is where we need the snare fill. So again, go to triplet grid, narrow it, and duplicate it 2 times. Deactivate the triplet grid. Up, down. We don't need that one. Right, and use the same feel, but this time I just want to like a little stuttering effect. And again, we don't need this one. And again, let's replace this one with something else. Like let's take one gun, and stretch it. But for that we need the warping mode and hold shift. Oops, but again we messed up the modulation. Yeah, and maybe let's crank this up by 1 octave. And play around with the texture mode. Yeah, I love it. Okay, and to the end we need some, again, the boom, 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 but this time not with the snare, but with the kick. So we don't need a snare. And again, triplet grid, narrow it, And we need to follow this with modulation, with the sidechain. Okay, and as a final step, I want to use a crash, like a regular crash. So again, in the Deathstep thing, we have a few nice symbols. So drum shots, crashes. Yeah, that would be cool. But let's choke it. So we need a choke crash, like tss, tss. Okay, but this is a little too long, so let's make them shorter. And maybe don't use the kick, but the snare right now. Yeah, perfect ending. One more thing, I don't really like this static scream. Go. Okay, cool. It is rising nicely and heavily. The scream should not play under the fill. Yeah, that's it. And as a final step, we need some mastering on it. So basically, I just want to compress the whole thing a little more because you're talking about Deathstep, it needs to be crunched very, very heavily. Okay, so let's use the Dynamics glue compressor on the master. And because we lost some low end, let's use an EQ8 and add it back just a tiny bit, like 2 decibels or something. Okay, there is one more thing maybe. I missed the offbeat kind of whatever percussion sound. So for that I want to use the same thing that I used here because there's some so cool guns here. Like so at the end we have a little longer guns. We can use this up, so let's make a cut. We don't need the rest of that. And let's see what we can do with this on the offbeats. Maybe let's lengthen it a little. Stretch it. But this time let's use the complex mode. Okay, obviously this does not sound really well, so we need to do something with that. So first of all, I want to use a shifter, frequency shifter, to play around with the transposition of it. Okay, let's use an EQ8 to boost the frequencies that I want to work with. So with that, I first want to choose the high pass. Yeah, and like right now this is a little too much. So what I want to do is create, the Kilohertz guys has a really nice plugin called the Disperser, but I want to build it in Operator, and it is very simple. I just need an audio rack with an EQ3. Let's map the 2 split points or the split knobs to macro 1 and duplicate this several times, like I don't know, 10 times or something. And play around with the knob until you find a sweet spot. Yeah, I kind of like it. Let's make a little more fade. Maybe we can modulate this a little, like play a little different sound in the first half and on the second half again a little different. Right, so once again, this is the final thing. Okay, so don't forget to check the production bundle and don't forget to subscribe also. See you guys next time. Peace.